everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kat. In my past videos, I have discussed what is strategy consulting and what do I do as a consultant, and what a day look like if you're in such consulting companies, and a lot about consulting in general. Maybe you get interested in learning more about consulting or potentially in the future be a consultant yourself. But I want to use this video to tell you some of the caveats of joining consulting firms. So, when you choose which company or which specific type of consulting you want to join, you really consider both pros and cons of joining the company or the industry in general. So this video is really about evaluating if you fit one of those criteria I'm gonna talk about to see if you're gonna be a good fit with consulting. If you are new to this channel, I'm Catherine. I joined a strategy consulting firm specializing in life science, and I use this channel to really share with you what consulting looks like and other alternative careers if you have PhDs or other advanced degree holders. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first biggest difference compared to academia is you don't own your project. If you've done a PhD or even master, for your thesis, you have to work on certain project and you really own it, right? Whatever research you've done, whatever model you've built, you present that as part of your own thing. So it is really your project, your baby that, no matter it's a few months or a few years, it's all yours. It's your data. And when you present it, you are the owner of the data. You can present it on conferences, you can present it in different meetings, gatherings, even, if it's a party you're hanging out with your friends, and these are the stuff you can talk about with them. So for example, I was doing neuroscience research back in grad school. So in the party or any conversations, I can definitely share with the friends, families, that's what kind of research I was doing in my grad school. I could even mention the specific disease type. I could mention the specific technology. I could mention different approach I used to address different scientific questions, right? Because everything is mine and I'm free to talk about that. However, it is completely different in consulting. In consulting, the pros, as I mentioned before, the projects are really short. Within a year, for example, I've worked on so many different projects, but many projects last 6 to 8 weeks. Some can be even shorter, some can be longer. But overall, compared to multi-year projects in grad school, it's very short. However, you are not allowed to discuss any of these topics with any people outside of the company. So these are the rules because you are the third party. You don't own these projects, and it is your client who owns that material. So all of these are confidential. That actually bothers a lot of my friends because they are scientists. They're used to discuss work during a regular conversation with friends or with families. So it is kind of difficult for them to not talk about work. They are proud of owning their own work stream. They're proud of owning that specific topic, question, projects, or anything, right? I think that is also a spirit of being a scientist, that you're always curious, you join those conversations to really spark ideas of what kind of future experiments you could do, what ideas other scientists have. So you're looking for recommendations there. But as I said, in consulting, you're not allowed to discuss any of these topics. So if you're one of these people that you cannot, let those projects go, you really want to own every project or even just one out of 100 projects, you might face some difficulties when you join consulting firms because imagine in all these parties, you cannot really discuss about work at all. You can only talk about you are a blah blah consultant working on this type of projects, right? So this is completely opposite compared to being a PI. So if you feel like this is something you cannot do, please choose another path. The second thing I want to talk about is consulting is really a client-facing work. that means that you have to be comfortable presenting yourself, present your work in front of clients, answer any questions they have. If you're not comfortable, talking to strangers during the first time, you might think twice before joining a consulting company. This is a pretty well-known rule. Consulting is client-facing role that you have to serve clients in all different ways. And of course, that not only means you have to address all during the conversations, but also behind the scenes. If the client wants this deliverable by tomorrow, you will try your best to give to the clients by tomorrow. So that could mean late nights, that could be missing meals, that could be disrupted plans, and all of those could happen. And this might be avoidable, if you're working in the lab, because in that case, there's not really a hard deadline unless, a grant is due, but that grant is due maybe many, many moons ago, right? So that's poor planning. But in the world of consulting, because you have a client, you will never know, inside client's mind. You cannot guess what he's thinking or she's thinking right now. It is a really delicate process when you have a conversation with them. You will have some difficult clients. You'll have some very easygoing clients. You just have to tailor the message to them. And that is a relationship building process. The third thing I want to talk about is, which you already mentioned before, the hours could be difficult or unpredictable. If you want a 9-to-5 job, please don't join consulting. There's no way that in consulting you work from 9 to 5 every day, very predictable. You can have some chill weeks, but you also will have some very busy month. So if you want a very, set schedule, you just want to leave work by 5, as many videos I saw on TikTok shows, then please don't consider consulting. Consider other corporate jobs, and there are many out there. And similarly to what I touched upon, if you have a deadline tomorrow, you have to finish it by today. Maybe that means you have to work until 4 a.m. in the morning. That's what you have to do. And some people might think, oh, maybe it is the poor time management. I have to say, occasions happen because there's so many variables. Considering if it is a 3-week project, there's no way that you can plan everything right, because you have to talk to the right experts. You have to synthesize the conclusion after getting the insight from these experts or conducting research. Everything takes time, but you have limited time, right? The short project means everything is fast paced. So you have to work pretty long hours to finish the project within 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, these projects are rare. Most of the projects are, as I mentioned, 6 to 8 weeks. But even then, the hours are definitely longer than 9 to 5. And I'm not even talking about, the top management consulting firms potentially working 80 hours on average, because you also have to, travel, which brings me to the next point. If you do not like travel, then please reconsider joining consulting. Consultants are famous for the busy travel schedules, and this applies to a lot of management consulting firms. Typically, they travel on Monday and come back on Thursday, and they spend a lot of time out of their own home. So that's something you have to really consider, the work-life balance, or just if you're not into travel or work travel, it's completely different from holiday travels. Don't imagine they are the same thing. Of course, there are ways to mitigate those travel by joining smaller firms or boutique firms or consulting firms that are more focusing on implementation. There are all different ways to do it, but I just want to, bring this up so you know that if you do not want work travel, you have family responsibilities or any other reasons, you just hate work travel, please reconsider management consulting firms, big ones. The next one I want to talk about is if you're not analytical. A lot of us haven't touched math for a long time because you do a lot of things with your computer, but even that, And it's all very simple formula, right? For example, if you have to make a solution in the lab, you just need to divide it potentially the grams by the water or any solutions that the chemicals need to be dissolved, and just simple math. However, in consulting, typically modeling is an essential skill. So, for example, I've worked on multiple projects involving simple models as well as very complex financial models. If you're not into numbers, if you really don't want to do any math, you don't want to learn how to do that with Excels, think through all these numbers, then and please also reconsider. The last but not least, and very, very important in consulting, is if you do not enjoy frequent review sessions. Consulting is very well known for its 360-degree feedback systems. So in any firm, if they are good ones, you will hear that after every project, all your team members, the team leaders, managers, partners will give you reviews. Imagine every project lasts 6 weeks. Then 3 months is 2 projects if you're only staffed on 1 project at a time. But if it's a dual staffing model, 3 months is 4 projects, right? So a year, that is 4 times 4, 16 projects. Imagine every project you have, let's say, 3 or 4 people on your team. That is a lot of reviews, okay? And then those reviews comes from partners, from managers, from everybody. It is very, very thorough. And for each form, I wish you could see that one person have to fill out to review another person is composed of more than 10 different buckets. So you have to review this person from analytical perspective, from, let's say, presentation perspective, just all different kind of buckets. So it is a very, very thorough review system. So if you do not like that, and if you hate, dealing with all these hustles, then I would advise that please reconsider joining consulting. Otherwise, you would hate it. So those are really the big things that I think if you're coming from another industry trying to join consulting, that you would have to pay close attention to, because you might miss those things and thinking consulting is such a glorious industry and you want to be part of it, but you should not join an industry or join a firm or join a job just because it sounds glorious. It has to fit your own personal need. If you have a family that you have to go home every day with, if you want to be more creative in the more liberal arts world, or if you're a more shy person, you want to deal with the computer programming, for example, dealing with data exclusively instead of, facing client, presenting to them and deal with all these relationships. There are all other alternative careers out there, like data scientist I shared with you in my last video. Even though my friend not only did data processing part as his daily work stream, but also other strategic part of the work. But there are so many data scientist jobs out there dealing, more towards the data part of it. There are just so many other alternatives. Please do your diligence before joining a job, because otherwise, if you regret it, if you don't like it, it is a lot to lose. I mean, you can always change it, but still, it is the time cost, it's the opportunity cost. I would rather tell you all of that up front so you can really weigh in pros and cons, decide if consulting is suitable for you. So that's all for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions in terms of consulting life, consulting work, anything consulting in general. Leave the comment below, I will address them. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.